That's fantastic. Excellent. Well, we might start welcoming. We've sort of got quite a few numbers on here, so we might. It's 4:33, so we might actually get into it. So we'll go from there. So I'll say hello to everybody out there. So welcome to the little get together we got going here today. So for Young Living, we've got our Young Living ambassador, Jake Doran, who's a fantastic young fella, but also one of our Olympic hopefuls in there. We're very blessed to have him as our YL ambassador. Jake has got a really impressive record for the short time that he's actually been doing the track and field, let alone the 100 metre or the 200 metre, the sprint event, which is really the penultimate event at the Olympics. Jake has run as a teenager a 10.16. He's run a 10.2 and he's recently just ran a 10.35 100 metre, which is, if anybody knows their sprintings, is a pretty serious time. So, and from here being a 20-year-old, he's only going to get better and better from here, we believe. So in saying that, we're very lucky to have Jake. This is a pretty unique meeting. Why we've got Jake is that he's actually in the trenches really training hard for what he's going to go to, the 2021 Olympics. So we're very lucky to have that. I feel really blessed that Jake's here to impart a bit of knowledge. He's actually right in the middle of all his training, competing right in the live events. So to have somebody of his calibre and this knowledge to actually sort of give his time and actually give us a few hints and tips on what's actually making him tip and what makes him successful is pretty unique. So I'm going to thank everybody for coming on, but I will hand it over to Jake. Jake's going to give us a quick rundown of his 5 tips for becoming a faster athlete. This is hopefully going to be going, we're going to be do this on a monthly basis. So Jake's just going to chime in and then just sort of update it. Jake has come from playing football, so he knows all about injury, all about sort of the mental health side of sport as well to actually get in, because he's actually been through a lot of it, back injuries and the whole rest of it. So we're just going to keep going. So we're just going to introduce, we're going to let Jake talk about this. If you've got any questions, feel free to post them in the chat group and we will ask them at the end and then we'll go from there. So, but I'll hand it over to Jake now and we'll go from there. So much appreciated, Jake.
Cheers, mate. I really appreciate the kind words and the kind introduction to everybody. I think, we've done some cool webinars in the past and now doing some more sport focused ones is going to be exciting. And I'm always excited to give back to Young Living and be a part of that community. I've really enjoyed working with Young Living for the past 12 months and hopefully it's a partnership we can continue. So I love the products and I love the company and I really enjoy imparting some of the knowledge that I've accrued over my short career so far. And like you said, I've been through the wars a little bit. So I've had my fair few share of experiences. So I've accrued a little bit of experience over my time. And I've been able to log that knowledge and hopefully have been able to impart it on some people in the past and hopefully today moving into the future. So hopefully we can continue to do this on a monthly basis. But today is, I believe, the 5 basic steps on how to be a faster athlete, be a better athlete in general. Like Glenn said, I've consistently done a lot of sports over my life. I've really enjoyed social sport all the way up to high level sport, all the way up to Olympic sport. So I've really experienced my fair share of different sports and different levels and different sporting abilities. And I've very much been privy to the fact that speed, agility and power is a major foundation to every sport, every physical sport you can be a part of. And we see a lot of athletes in track and field use those skills that they've accrued and utilize them in different sports. We see a lot of past athletes in track and field go on to be really high level professional coaches for a lot of sports. I know currently one of the S&C coaches at the Melbourne Storm is an ex-Australian level sprinter. The head strength and conditioning coach at the Victorian Institute of Sport is an ex-Australian level sprinter. The strength and conditioning coach at the Queensland Academy of Sport is an ex-Australian level thrower in track and field. So there's a lot of foundational sporting attributes that can be really picked up through power training, through sprint training. And hopefully that I'm somewhat of a knowledgeable base for those kind of things. I like to think that I've, been a real student of my sport. In my brief time, I've worked with a lot of world-class people, world-class coaches, and experts in that particular region, and in different regions of sport in general, whether that be nutrition, sports medicine, just those sports psychology, those kind of avenues I've really explored to make myself a better athlete. And in doing so, have picked up a lot of skills that help the everyday person, whether they be playing, a bit of touch on a Wednesday night, or whether they're trying to make a state level team in footy, or they're really trying to become a professional athlete. I think all these steps right down from the basics make sense and help you all the way through. So in saying that, I have put together 5 real basic steps to really improve yourself from the foundational level. And I think that's often the important factor is especially in sport, but more so in life even. If you're not getting your foundations right, if you're not getting your basics right, then you're going to have to start over, and you're never going to get anywhere. And moreover from that, there is no shortcut. There is no easy answer. There's no magic dust you can sprinkle on yourself to be a better athlete in any way, shape, or form. So really understanding and welcoming those foundational factors is important to get yourself on the right mindset and get yourself on that right trajectory to being a more powerful athlete, to being a better athlete overall, and becoming faster in your particular sport. And that is a long lesson that I've had to learn over my extended period of time trying to get faster, and still to this day trying to get faster. So I think what I'll get into is my first and main almost obvious answer to my first step, and that is just approaching speed and power from a technical perspective. Too often, I think I walk around and I see people running down the sidewalk in a park, all the way up to watching professional athletes play footy, and almost instinctively, I'm quite a judgmental person on their running technique. I think that is ingrained in me because I look at myself every day to pick up on the subtle nuances of technical cues that I'm getting wrong. So those running techniques are critical. And I've often said to a lot of people, I've spoken about this with Glenn recently, there is professional football players, whether that be AFL, rugby league, rugby union, soccer, doesn't matter, that run technically poorly. These are big guys with big muscles, with a lot of training under their belt, but because they're not technically able to run well, then unfortunately they're wasting a lot of their potential when it comes to that speed and power aspect, and they're limiting themselves. And if they unlock that technical ability and that more nuanced side of the sport, then they're making work they're taking away work for themselves in the gym. They're taking away work for themselves out in the field, and they're making their lives easier just by addressing some things that they're doing biomechanically. And it's really not as complicated as it sounds. You can use a whole lot of buzzwords and a lot of big words to make it sound complicated, and go and study a biomechanical degree at university. But realistically, it comes down to a few foundational things at the end of the day. You can pretty much go online, Google Usain Bolt, for instance, watch his running ability in slow motion and kind of pick up some cues. You can put yourself next to Usain Bolt on a screen and kind of cross-analyze what you're doing differently to someone like that in that kind of technical aspect. Which way is his limbs moving different to yours? How is his knees rising up different to yours? What is his ankle angles doing different to yours? Those particular cues are important on every level, whether that be in your acceleration process, your top speed, or your deceleration. And that kind of technical ability moves into a whole host of things when it comes to injury, longevity in sport. Again, ability level. Being a technical first kind of athlete, you're setting yourself up to succeed. You're not setting yourself up to fail. You're not shooting yourself in the foot. You're making sure that everything you do is as efficient as possible. What the work you do put in is as good as it can be. And at the end of the day, you're becoming a faster athlete. So some of the things to really look out for, and this is a really like basic no-nos when it comes to running, is you don't want to be leaning forward and kicking your feet out the back, you're really limiting your speed, because each time you're striking the ground, you're hitting the brakes at the end of the day. So you want to be nice and upright and have your torso nice and still and straight, like basically like you sit in a chair. You don't want bad posture. That's a major thing that doesn't get addressed. When you're running, a lot of people cross their feet over the midline. So as they're running, their right foot goes over the back of their left foot, and then vice versa as they're running, and it's crossing like that, and you're not getting any good lateral movement. That's a big thing a lot of people do. Again, you want to be striking under yourself. So you don't want to be where your foot strike is important. You don't want to be overstriding and hitting the ground in front of yourself, because again, you're hitting the brakes. You don't want to have your head down and bobbing around everywhere. You want to just be nice and calm, nice and collected, not too tense and trying too hard. And technically, I always say sprinting in slow motion, when you look at it, is poetry in motion. It's really efficient movement. We're spending over the course of 100 meters, less than a second touching the track, and only 1 foot at a time, 2 square inches is on the track at a time. And the majority of the time we're in the air, creating those movement patterns to make sure that we're running efficiently. And that is transferred onto football fields. It's transferred in the majority of sports that require that kind of speed and agility. That technical side of things is important. And you're really able to unlock a lot of speed just by addressing your technical ability, because you could be a strong guy, but or lass, but at the end of the day, you're limiting yourself by unfortunately not being technically sound. So of course, there's a lot more I could go into when it comes to technical ability, and without going into a lot of depth and showing physically how to run better. My advice when it comes to technical ability is to just look at what is right. Look at how the professionals run, and kind of think to yourself, okay, what am I not doing, and what really stands out to me that is different to what they're doing? And in training, away from sport, away from events, away from actual competitive environments, just exaggerate the movements that are correct, exaggerate what you're not doing right. And when it comes to the day that you're actually going to do the business, go down to the sport and try and be faster, you don't have to think about it. You've exaggerated that movement. You've exaggerated that proper technique. And in doing so, it's ingrained mechanically into your kind of gait. And if you practice good habits, then it's, what more could you want? I think we should go to a question, AJ, when you say keep upright, which asked me to have a forward lean. Yeah, I agree when it comes to a forward lean, more so in distance running. If you're really trying to get some longevity, a forward lean is more efficient, because you're kind of letting gravity help you go forward a little bit. In an acceleration type situation, a forward lean is important because that's the best kind of angle to generate power. But in saying that, say my body, this is my body, and my knuckles is where my legs would be. A forward lean isn't like that. You don't want to be just leaning from the hips and keeping your butt behind you and leaving it back where you started. A forward lean is like a full body angle where you're kind of properly leaning through the hips and the chest to go forward. But when you're at that kind of maximum velocity, that maximum running speed, then a forward body lean isn't necessarily the right way to go. And you can actually limit yourself from getting your knees up into a nice figure 4 position. So you really want your knees to be up in a triple extension to really extend that stride length and open up your speed potential. So that sense of things, then you don't want to be having as much of an exaggerated forward body lean. But when I say upright, you don't want to be erect. You don't want to be like proper, like a pencil. You just want to be, light and lifting yourself off the ground, because when you're spending too much time on the ground, then that's when you're slowing yourself down. But yeah, that's what I think about the forward body lean. But that's my little quick bit on technical ability. I think that's my main tip when it comes to really helping yourself is really pronounce that technical ability. And yeah, just go back, have a look at how the pros do it. And if you do have any specific questions, then I'm more than happy to ask. And if you really want to get into the nitty gritty, there's a lot of knowledgeable people out there that can really help you kind of mold your running ability into a proper styling. So yeah, more than happy to help. But that's my little bit on technique.
that's fantastic, mate. I think everybody got a lot out of that, so which is awesome. Yeah, point number two, mate, which is the mental ability, which is a major part of sport, or whatever sport you're doing today, and especially when you're on the injury side of sport as well. So yeah, it'd be interesting to hear that one, mate.
Yeah, I think we've kind of touched on mental health, not just mental ability, mental health before in the past, Glenn, and we could sit here for 2 hours and talk about how important the mental aspect of sport, but also the mental aspect of just general life, and how ridiculously important it is to getting the most out of your everyday, not only your sport, but in terms of mental ability. I've sat down with plenty of sports psychologists, and that's not to get myself out of a lot of mental slumps. It's often to get myself amped up and mentally fit, because at the end of the day, mental ability is as strong and as important as physical ability, if not more. I've been in plenty of races where I'm not mentally all there because I'm lackadaisy or whatever, and that slight mental edge as I've lost the race before I've run it. You could talk to a whole bunch of host of professional tennis players that lose matches. They could be leaps and bounds better than the opposition, but if they're not mentally turning up to that match, then they've lost it before they've started. So mental ability and mental strength and mental health are all synonymous and interconnected and interwoven into sport, especially in terms of getting faster. I think this kind of is more connected to just being a better athlete. I think being a better athlete when you're conscious of your mental ability is important, and I use that word on purpose. Being conscious of how you're feeling mentally and how fit you are mentally is crucial to becoming a better athlete. I've sat down with mental health professionals that have shown me techniques to really isolate my mental ability, my mental strength, my mental fitness, any anxiety I might be feeling, any confidence I might be feeling, really isolate that, compartmentalize it, and address it from a third party point of view. And that just realistically means that I'm understanding where I'm personally sitting in between the years, understanding from a outside point of view, looking in, exactly what I'm going to do, how I'm feeling, and what I'm prepared to go to get the most out of myself on that particular day. So I think that side of my sport is a big strength of mine, because I've really been able to isolate and be emotionally intelligent in that kind of regard when it comes to sport. I've really been able to isolate how I'm feeling on that given day. I've really been able to isolate how confident I am going into an event. And I've been able to isolate my anxiety before a big event to ensure that when I am able to compete, I'm not becoming a slave to my anxiety. I'm not overconfident. I'm not sitting in a slump, lulling about, feeling sorry for myself because of something that's happened. I'm able to compartmentalize and address things as best I can. And I think, I've, like you said previously, Glenn, I've been subject to some pretty horrendous injuries. I've played a lot of sports, a lot of heavy contact sports that have ruined some of my joints. And track and field, sprinting in particular, is the hardest event at sport on the central nervous system, and it's left its toll on me at 20. I've broken my back. I've completely torn muscles in half, and that's caused, I've torn a muscle the night before I was supposed to fly out to Europe for 2 months and compete and go on holiday, and things like that. They really kick you when you're down. But being able to, again, compartmentalize, come to terms with these things, address these things, and not only personally, but have the confidence and have the pride to go and talk with professionals, talk with my peers, talk with my mentors about these things, and get other subjective views on things, and really get a better understanding of where I'm sitting mentally. And again, this isn't just advice for my sprinting. This is advice for sport in general. This is advice for just general life. If you're able to really come to terms with what's going on between your ears, and understand that it's, that there's a lot of phrases like it ain't weak to speak, and a lot of strong words coming out of a lot of organizations these days about being mentally strong and being able to comprehend what goes on between your ears. I think that they're crucially important. So yeah, for me, being able to compartmentalize, being able to address those things, being a massive part of being able to unlock my speed almost. I've been able to come out of injuries and go, okay, this is a setback. It's time to train harder. It's time to work harder, not sit on my ass and lull about and feel sorry for myself. It's okay, I need to get back to where I was, where I want to be. And that requires some mental strength. And that comes from again, the words mental ability, which is something you train just like your body. It's a thing that comes with resilience. Resilience is a big thing in sport. Just as many as there's guys on 7-figure incomes winning trophies and medals and yada yada yada, those same guys go through injuries. They go through massive setbacks in their sport. They've grinded to get to that point in their life. Those massive successes have come with huge losses, because the roller coaster that gets you to those high highs takes you to those low lows as well. So being able to comprehend that, being able to kind of understand why it's important to identify these things has been a massive help to me, and has continued to grow my resilience, and has been something I've been training alongside my physical ability. And then at the end of the day, a lot of things fall into that kind of mental side of things. So your confidence levels, your drive, your determination, those kind of things that are imperative for sport also come from that mental ability side. So again, going back to it, coming to terms with, you don't just have to train your body, you have to train your brain, being confident in doing that, not shying away from your mental health, your mental ability, isolating resilience, determination, confidence, anxiety, those types of emotions, isolating those, addressing those, and coaching those, important. They're going to make you a better athlete. They're going to make you a better person. And it's going to make sure your longevity in sport is going to be a strong point of yours. And it's going to make you overall a better athlete. And in saying that, faster. So it's my little bit of mental ability.
That's awesome, mate. We've only got 2 questions on that, so I might. Can you read those, Jake? I think you can. Just have a quick answer.
Yeah, sure. Jake, mentally, do you train? Yeah, for sure. I think mental ability, again, those buzzwords, they come down to a lot of emotion, and stuff like music really unlocks emotion. A lot of Young Living products unlock emotion. They really make you respond, and a lot of unlocking emotion is response to stimulus, response to your senses. So look, I have specific Young Living products that I use to unlock specific senses. I definitely listen to music in different phases of my sport. I listen to music before races. I listen to music while I'm training. It's a good way to get away from the work you're doing, because obviously working your body hard is difficult. It's a good way to get yourself pumped up. Good way to make yourself feel better. It's a really great way to explore your emotions. So yeah, I definitely listen to music, and I would recommend listening to more. If you've ever been in a slump, poor form, how have you mentally and physically recovered? I've definitely been in a few slumps and a few spots of poor form. Actually, very recently, I hit a pretty big slump just before COVID hit. We were gearing up we're in the middle of our Olympic campaign, and there was a good two-week period where I was really just racing poorly. I was a lot, I had a couple of guys pit me on the line that I was a lot better than, and I was in hot form before that. But at the end of the day, there's no such thing as a linear trend when it comes to sport. There's a lot of drop downs and troughs. And I was just in that lull, and I was really anxious about not getting out of it, because it was an Olympic campaign, and I was quick to remedy that. So I went to all the kind of remedies I had in my arsenal to quickly nip that in the bud, and that entailed, again, exploring those emotions, compartmentalizing that kind of stuff, isolating those feelings. I went and saw 2 sports psychologists in that 2-week period, my personal one and the QAS sports psych, the Queensland Academy of Sports psych. And we went through, why I might be feeling that way, what I can do, strategies I can use to get out of that. And that really, brought it back to, I am confident in my ability. It's just, certain results, certain conditions, certain trends have just not run my way. The luck had ran out for those 2 weeks. So I had to be confident that, I was able to do what I was going to do. I wasn't hopeful that I was going to run well because I was conceding that I didn't think I was. I knew I was going to come back and come back and run well because I knew I'd done the work. So a lot of that kind of getting out of the slump, getting out of the poor form is going back to consistency, isolating those emotions and seeking out a professional, or, just opening up and talking about your slump in form and realizing that you're not superhuman. You do have those slumps and you go through those poor times, and then hopefully that person that you reach out to is in that kind of position to bring you out of it and help you realize that you're doing well, you've done the work, and you're ready to go again. And what Young Living products do you use to unlock emotion? We are fortunate. My whole family uses Young Living products, and there's, often the product, a lot of the oils actually say on the bottle what emotion they're going to unlock and what kind of aromas they're going to explore. And there's a lot of stuff to explore when it comes to aromatherapy and that kind of thing. I use a whole bunch of different Young Living products, but specifically to kind of really, go back to that kind of emotional state. There's a whole bunch of ones. It depends on what I'm actively trying to seek out. And also, if there are better, if other people know that what I need is more important, then I'll go ask them. So, I think at the end of the day, I always say peppermint is my go-to oil. What do I have here? I have, Thieves, Purification is a great one. There's Valor. There's just my kind of staple ones that you've got your NRG. A lot of my stuff is energy based because I have to get myself, ready and raring to go again the day after a big training session for another training session. But, I'll reach out to Glenn, I'll reach out to Andrew, and I'll go, look, guys, I'm feeling this way. I need a certain oil. What do you guys think? There's a lot of pages. There's the main Young Living page. There's the men's Young Living page. There's a lot of communities where you just reach out, ask, look, I need an oil for this, and boom, there's a whole host of people that are there to help you. So yeah, I'm definitely not the professional when it comes to the oil stuff. I just do as I'm told with that kind of thing. Like I do as I'm told with a lot of different avenues in my sport, but there's professionals for that. How much Ninja do I drink? A lot. Ninja is a brilliant product from Young Living. I think it's probably my favorite, definitely my favorite non-oil product, but we have constant bottles coming through this household. I have both the bottles and the sachets. Out of the bottle, I'll have it at least twice a day. I'll have a shot at least twice a day, morning and night, because I don't really get affected by it at night, but it really amps me up in the morning, and I need those nutrients to sustain my body. And yeah, I wash down a lot of my supplements with Ninja because I think it's a brilliant product and it gets you essential nutrients. So I can't recommend Ninja enough. And what advice would you give young athletes that are starting out with Young Living products and oils? My advice would be for young athletes that it's great. A lot of the products are really exploratory for yourself. I think aromatherapy and a lot of the products they offer are really great to get involved in a community. When it comes to young athletes, I think a lot of basics to get into are important. There's a lot of ones you can really explore and have in your repertoire. I really like Young Living because it's really natural based. It's energy from the earth, and it's, the seed to seal cuts type stuff. So you're not harming your body that way. And again, like I said, I'm not the expert when it comes to aromatherapy and the oils. I seek out a lot of that knowledge from elsewhere. So my advice for that, if you're looking for anything in particular, would be to reach out for someone in your upline, someone that has a lot more knowledge than I do, and bada bing, bada boom, they'll help you out. Yeah. Energy from there. Exactly. So yeah, that was my mental ability chat, and I'll just address those questions, but cool.
That was great. And that's what I love about the products as well. I think if you, like you said, there's one for every emotion. So with the oils, I believe that if you trust them, you look for them, they'll sort of give you the answers. Your body knows what you're looking for. And if it really resonates you, just trust your gut feeling and go for it. And you'll be amazed what these oils can do. Like Jake says, there's different parts of the day, or there's different emotions that you're going to come up and feel. And these are just, at the end of the day, what I love about Jake is Jake actually does the work. He addresses the problem. So you got to do the work. These are just tools to actually help you sort of get through those areas to make it more easily. So, and they're fantastic tools to have. So, but that's fantastic. On the, with young athletes, I'd get young athletes on the Ningxia straight away if I was, as a parent, I would, because I think Ningxia is just such a great nutritional supplement, which will, that's his number 5. So we'll just move on quickly. Number 3, he's got his recovery, which for any athlete or any actually person just doing a gym workout is super important. So I'll let you go there, Jake.
Recovery, yes, I cannot really lean on this enough. I think it's a massive part of not only sport, but training in general that is often left out. There's a lot of, young living focus on recovery and well-being and health that can really, be guided and help that journey. But I think at the end of the day, recovery is a massive part of becoming a better athlete. And I know for me, because sprinting in general is about as close you can get to redlining your body. It is the most physically intensive exercise you can do. And, I think a lot of people negate sprinting as a good exercise regime and try and tend to the normal kind of mundane cardio to get their steps in. But sprinting is huge on the body. And I've spent the last God knows how long trying to become a better sprinter. And I've slowly come to realize that, I can only train so hard. I can only have so many sessions in the week to the point where I'm not able to do the next session at 100%, 110% and get anything out of it because my body is still recovering from the ones prior. And I've not set myself up to succeed in that next session because I've not addressed the factors away from the track, away from the gym. And my coach often says, training isn't done for the day as we're walking away from the track, as we're walking away from the gym. I've got pretty much double the amount of recovery sessions that I do actual training sessions because I work my body so hard to be a better athlete that it has to be able to cope with that work and get up to do the next session. So I think, and this is the case in a lot of sports, whenever you're pushing your body, any exercise is breaking and tearing of muscles. It is, forcing your body to change itself, to become better. And whether that be for your well-being, whether that be for your image, whether that be to become a better athlete, you have to go through that change, go through that work, go through that change to then become better. And it's all well and good having that motivation and that determination to do the work. That's often the easy bit. And people, often find that baffling, that getting the motivation, actually doing the work is the easy bit. Setting yourself up to succeed after that work and get the most out of that work and work more efficiently is the most important bit and is the hardest bit to get right. Because you think you're done for the day. After you've done your bicep curls, you think you're done. When realistically, that's when it's just starting. My biggest tip for recovery is to just make sure you're getting your sleep. Sleep is hugely important. It is when your body is going back into itself and healing itself and fixing things that, that you've subjected it to over the last 16 hours of when you're awake. I say 16 hours because I, really stress that people try and get at least 8 hours of sleep. And it's not just getting the right sleep. It's trying to set yourself up that you're getting your sleep to match your circadian rhythms. And long story short, it's basically try and get as many hours before midnight of sleep as you can, because that's when your body is best primed to go back into itself. It's dark outside. You're biologically prepared to go to sleep. And that's when your body's going to go back into itself, do the work for you. Again, it's work that you don't have to do. Fix yourself, get ready for the next session. So, I'm big on recovery. It's, equally important as the work that you do in the gym, the muscle breakdown, the actual hard bit, to go back and let yourself become more efficient and succeed off that hard work. When it comes to specific speed and power, it's a hugely taxing exercise on the body, a hugely taxing movement on the body. So it takes a lot of recovery to kind of get back to that ability to do it again. So I do a lot of different recovery techniques. I have compression boots, I have massage guns, I see sports medicine twice a week. I'm very specific and particular. And there's a lot of very high level professional athletes that invest in their own body to get the most out of it. So, and that's, it's a scaling thing. The more you do, the more successful you become, the more you get out of your body, the more you have to help it recover and heal and regain itself. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be really feeling the after effects of a lot of sport at the age of 30. So I'm very particular with my body. So really understand those recovery protocols, get them done, do them straight after training. They're another training session. It's just as important. They're fun to do. You can turn the TV on and do your stretching, do your trigger pointing, really get to terms with your body, understand your flexibility and how your muscles are feeling. You should get to the point where you don't really get muscular soreness from training. And again, get your sleep, go to bed at a good time, wake up at a good time, and your beauty, you'll be better for it in the long run. And the short run, you'll see those effects pretty much as soon as possible. So yeah, make sure you get your sleep and recover.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, it's a really good one. I know you just there is a product you do take the sulfazime, or you've talked to me. How do you find that in just sort of supporting that sort of system, mate?
Yeah, so when I say recovery, a lot of recovery is a direct result of responses from your body trying to again heal itself from the work you've done, and a lot of that immediate response from your body after that work is inflammatory response. So inflammation isn't a direct result from injury; it is a direct result from pretty much every movement and every strenuous movement you apply to the body. And so for me, and the really harsh, intense, strong, fast movements I do and apply to my body, I'm pretty much in a constant state of inflammation where I have a lot of joint pain, a lot of muscular soreness. I'm ripping and tearing muscles constantly, trying to build them and get the most out of them and stretch them. And that's just what I have to do to become a better athlete. So yeah, the Young Living product in particular that I am most happy with and most confident in helping that recovery process and really, kind of addressing that inflammatory response is the sulfazime supplement. And the sulfazime is Young Living have been really confident in that supplement for a long time. It comes in a tablet form. It's really easy to take down. I take, around 6 a day, and it really just addresses that joint pain. It really just addresses that kind of inflammatory response. And it's something that I use in conjunction with a lot of things, all my recovery protocols to really aid in that journey through recovery and get the most out of my body. So yeah, sulfazyme's huge.
Excellent. Well, there's a couple of questions. There's one from Maddie, but I'll let that one go to the last one because that's sort of more nutritional.
Yep.
Elise's asked, have you ever had a raindrop or used raindrop for recovery? The raindrop.
Yeah. So I've done the raindrop massage a few times. I've done it. Yeah, obviously I've done a whole host of sports medicine and recovery and different massages. I've done, Chinese cupping therapy, acupuncture. I've pretty much done everything you can possibly do. And, I really think that because, the raindrop therapy is those really intense oils directly on your skin, your body's absorbing them straight away. It's delivering the oils to your cells almost instantaneously. The way the technique is used to really distribute those oils and distribute those microcellular particles to your body and get the most out of it. And I think it's brilliant. It's a great way to address a lot of muscular pain.
How did you feel after having one, mate? Did you? There's a thing that they measure you first? Because I know I've grown 20 mil when I've had one. So
yeah, you kind of you go back into yourself, don't you? I feel like I'm being hit by a truck beforehand. Have the technique applied, get off the table, and you're like, oof. You're just kind of, it's almost ethereal. You just you get, it's a confidence boost. It's an emotional thing. I really think that raindrop, not only for sport, but just in general, if you can, get it done and just really address that kind of personal thing, I think it'll be great for you. But yeah.
And the next one on this topic as well, mate. Just Nico said regarding recovery, he says, do you use yoga or Pilates? But I know you do utilise the Pilates as part of your regime?
Yeah, so I do Pilates week in, week out. It's a huge part of my actual training regime. I do quite a, advanced level Pilates to really, strengthen my core, because a lot of movement goes through the body in sprinting, and because of a lot of forces at play, you have to be really, strong in the core. And so I really advise that athletes pick up Pilates as a supplement to their training regimen week in, week out, because it can really get more out of your body. It can help you avoid a lot of injuries, and it just makes you stronger and more able to do a lot of things. And so, yeah, when it comes to recovery, it is a recovery session. So we're training whilst also recovering. So active recovery almost. You're still, tearing muscles and working hard, especially like in yoga through stretching. But because it's not an actual strenuous, impactful movement, it does count as recovery. Tai Chi, again, is a very emotional type thing. You're really going within yourself. I think that's great. Exploring your own energy, I think that's brilliant. But yeah, I'm a big advocate for Pilates, and whether you're just an everyday person trying to, get fit and healthy and more well-being stuff, or you're an actual athlete that's trying to, be the best of the best, then Pilates is a staple across the board. And I think it's regularly underused. Besides using music and oils, what is a technique you could recommend to get into the right zone, headspace to compete? Besides music and oils, to get in the right headspace to compete, I think that's a personal thing. Really looking inwards. Where that question kind of comes from usually stems from, I'm either not confident, I'm not motivated, or I'm anxious. And those three things are three things I addressed in my mental ability type spiel, whereby if you're not confident in the work you've done, then you probably haven't left all stones unturned. You can go back to the drawing board and really address that in training. If you're not confident because you're anxious about other people, well, a lot of the things are out of your control. You really have to compartmentalize that anxiety, acknowledge that anxiety is a good thing. It gets you motivated. It gets you ready to go. You're ready to go. And that anxiety is something that needs to be looked at in a positive light and compartmentalize away from yourself. Look at it from above and realize that it doesn't control you. That's a really good way to kind of get in that right headspace. And yeah, I think getting in that headspace is often difficult, but away from external stimulants, whether that be talking to somebody or music or oils, looking inwards, learning how to look inwards, understanding those techniques to look inwards are important. And once you do so, and once you're able to really get in touch with who you are as an athlete, then you shouldn't have any issues with getting in the right zone and headspace, because you've done the work, you're confident in yourself, and you're not shying away from that challenge. So that's my advice for that.
That's fantastic, mate. I really enjoyed that. That was good. Okay, the next one we'll go number 4, power training, mate. One of your sprinter specialities, and obviously a lot of money that comes with it, I believe.
Yeah, power training is brilliant. We're going very much back to the specific nitty-gritty about becoming a faster athlete, becoming a better athlete. Power training is huge. They use it across the board, whether you be a weightlifter, whether you be a sprinter, whether you're a footy player or a soccer player. Being more powerful really enables you to get the most out of your body and become a better athlete. It's pretty much synonymous. So, we really focus on power training as our main source of ability in the gym. And power isn't actually exactly the same thing as strength. Power is a stage of the weight training process. It's a stage of the training process in which you're trying to get the most muscular efficiency out of your body. So being, lighter, but also able to move more weight quicker is where you want to be at. And gym in general can become very addictive because it's very quantitative. You're pushing numbers, you're trying to get that next PB. You feel yourself getting stronger. You can see the results almost instantly. But power training is really going back to the actual beauty of that kind of physical ability, the function of the muscle and the function of the body as an athlete. So I wrote down in my notes for this, for going that gym isn't only for biceps and chest day. a lot of people go to the gym and warm up and work out those beach muscles so they look good over the summer. and that's all well and good. I really encourage people to go to the gym, and if that's what you're going for, then brilliant. But when it comes to being a better athlete, leg day is a great start. I think training the major leg groups is often neglected because it hurts. Training legs is hard. You don't see the results straight away, but again, we're talking about foundations, and foundations is a massive thing to readdress. And literally, when it comes to your body, your foundation is your legs. Running fast and moving fast, being more agile comes from your legs. And there are a few sports that don't require leg movement and leg ability. So really isolating those major leg groups is important. And developing that muscular capacity in doing so. So that comes from progressive overloading. There's plenty of research, plenty of writings, a lot of knowledge about training specifically and in the gym, and training for power is huge. Power training in particular is the transfer of strength in the gym. So it's all well and good to lift a heavy weight. I could go in the gym tomorrow and move 250 kilos if I really wanted to, but it would be slow. It'd probably be pretty ugly. I'd feel good about myself because I managed to move that PB, but it's not doing me any help. At the end of the day, that's not going to make me a better athlete. I cut that back. I'd say have 180 kilos as that lift, and I'm able to move that really fast, really, exaggerating that movement in the gym and getting the most out of my session. And developing that power curve, moving that slightly lighter weight quicker, more efficiently, and keeping to that technical side of it, doing it as a better lift is developing that power. So we're not here, repping out 20 lifts at a time, trying to look good in the mirror. We're specifically getting in, doing our 5 to 10 reps, getting out, and feeling the benefits of it, and transferring that power. So I'll personally go into the gym. I'll do a major lift. So we do major compound lifts like our squats, our deadlifts, and then we move straight over to a plyometric to apply that strength into power. So say I do a big squat, 6 reps, boom, 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 move the weight. That's, that crushing weight, rack it up, get out of there, move straight over to the more open area and do a box jump. I'll jump onto a box 3 times as high as I can to change that strength, that gym training I've just done into a functional exercise and developing that power curve. And what that's allowing me to do is becoming a stronger athlete. You're strengthening those muscles, those tendons, those joints to be able to cope with high loads in sport. You're obviously becoming a more powerful athlete, and in saying that, you're stronger, you're harder in footy, you're harder to move off the ball, you're harder to get tackled, you're faster. So your acceleration curve is different because you're more powerful. You're able to apply more force into the ground with each step. So power training is huge. And that's a whole body thing. You can apply power training. It's not just going into the gym and doing your bicep curls as part of your training session or your training week, but understanding what fundamentals of that lifts that you've been prescribed to do are going to help you in your actual sport, and understanding what you need to do in the gym to help your sport. Because at the end of the day, if you want to be a better athlete, you want to use gym as a supplement to your sport to make yourself better at the sport, not better at gym. So power training, huge. I love it. I have a massive power training session on Saturday. I'll be lifting heavy weights, and I always look forward to it. So yeah, it's good fun.
That sounds excellent, mate. And with that power training, it sounds like your focus, and that has to be spot on, mate. Do you, like I said, you're a massive peppermint junkie? Do you find that you use the peppermint constantly in the gym to actually keep yourself in the now and then, the now and the zone?
Yeah, I think often I'd say peppermint is my favorite oil because of, obviously I'm a sports person and I've used it. It's probably the first oil I used actually, because like you said, for focus, it's huge. I've used it I've said before, I've used it in exams before because it improves that focus so much. And yeah, like you said, because I'm trying to isolate my muscles so much, and all I'm thinking about is moving that weight from A to B, and then getting out of there and doing my plyometric and trying to become a better athlete through that exercise. The focus part of it is huge. So yeah, it really just clears your mind. I often find, and the way that the sharpness of peppermint, the flavor of it, is really, it's a massive stimulant. So if I'm feeling tired and not feeling like the next lift after I'm fatigued in a session, a quick hit of peppermint as an aromatheric response, again, unlocks that emotion of motivation. I'm ready to go. And I attribute that now to motivation, and that gets me up for the event, for what I want to do. So I always, peppermint is my, mainly used oil, and I'll use that oil in the gym, which, it's hard pressed to find oils in the gym, but they can be used. And again, Glenn and Andrew will be that knowledge base for specific oils in the gym. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a big one for the old peppermint as well. And you can look up a heap of studies. Even peppermint helps your VO2 max, which I know is important as an athlete as well. So
hugely. Yeah, I've read, VO2 max studies. I've read percentage gains in specific outputs in training, from just a peppermint as a catalyst. So, people really put their confidence behind peppermint, and I think, you beauty. If it works, it works. Try it out.
Yeah, get into it. That's what I reckon. Okay, your last one, mate, is nutrition.
Last one, 5 out of 5, nutrition. I mean, again, it's another one that we could be here all day if we really wanted to and talk about nutrition. But I often say, just be smart with your nutrition. There's no shortcuts in nutrition. You can lose a lot of weight really quickly, but if you've managed to lose a lot of weight really quickly, then you're just as quickly going to gain it back, because a lot of diets aren't successful. And they're good. People are very good at selling diets, but they're not very good at keeping weight off. And unfortunately, that's just how it is. And people go through these really strict diets and hate their food and hate their lives at the time because they're not eating what they want to eat. And it's unfortunate because they don't have to be like that. So, I am a massive proponent for nutrition. Personally, as a professional athlete, I'm very strict with my nutrition. I have a nutritionist. We have a diet. I make sure that I count my calories. I understand what's going in my body to fuel my body, my fat count and my fat percentage, and that kind of thing is important to me. But at the end of the day, in general, a lot of people's nutrition is out the door because of a lot of the bad products that take up the shelves in the supermarket, and the majority of products aren't good for you. And a lot of upcoming athletes in particular are school kids, and their lunchbox isn't up to par because it's, a lot of easy food is really bad for you, which is unfortunate, but it doesn't have to be. There's a lot of alternative options that are really good for you, easy to eat, good to eat, tasty, and a quick. So I think a lot of people shoot themselves in the foot when it comes to nutrition. And again, it comes down to, if you're doing the work and training, even if you're doing the work now in recovery, if you're not eating well enough, then you're shooting yourself in the foot and you're holding yourself back. And the old adage that abs are made in the kitchen is in fact correct. I can train 12 times a week, 6 hours a day, if I really wanted to, and I could eat poorly and not have a six pack, be fat and not be able to perform at my best. And that's purely because of nutrition. And if I said, mental health and physical health is 50-50, then pretty much the majority of physical health and a lot of mental health is down to your nutrition. You have a lot of responses from what goes into your body, because at the end of the day, your body is a machine. It is a biological machine, and the fuel you put in that machine is the nutrition you get out of your food. And if your food isn't nutritional, then I don't have to explain that. So, like I said before, there's a lot of Young Living supplements that help that process, but they're not, you can't rely on that completely. You have to be confident and conscious and knowledgeable about what you're doing in the kitchen, what you're doing and putting in your body to get the most out of it. So I wrote down the best way to improve in any sport or athletic ability quickly is to just be not necessarily strict, but just be smart with what you're eating, smart with what you're putting in your body. Everything in moderation is a good thing to live by. Good foods, people should know by now what's in the media, what a decent food is. If it comes in a packet, then it generally isn't a great food. If it's got a lot of high sugar content, it's generally not a great food. So just being conscious about what's going into your body, and slowly you'll accrue better habits, slowly you'll accrue more knowledge, and you'll understand how your body responds to certain foods. And I can guarantee if you have been eating poorly or have been treating your gut poorly, then changing that, you'll reap those benefits almost instantly. And it's not just on a sports base. You'll feel better about yourself. So like for me, it comes down to a lot of energy levels when it comes to elite performance, and a lot of sport performance comes to energy levels, and obviously weight. It has a lot to do with it, with what you're eating and stuff. So yeah, just being conscious of what you're putting in your body. My big tip is just, address the nutritional side of things, because even myself, I could be better nutritionally. Everyone can improve themselves on a nutritional basis, and there's some very small steps that can be taken to start that journey. And if you're really serious about being a better athlete, and you're tuning into information like myself, then being good with your food, brilliant start. And that's pretty much what I have to say for that. It's pretty self-explanatory.
That's fantastic. And I've heard sayings you can't out-supplement a bad diet. So the supplements work really well on top of a good diet. So especially when you're getting to your level, I think, things like the Ninja, they work awesomely, but you will not out-supplement a bad diet. They just sort of like the cream on the top. They actually give you that next level of energy and actually make up for the deficits, because being human beings, we're not going to be 100% all the time on it. You've actually got to live life and have a bit of fun. So, but I do an 80-20 rule. You're probably a 95% rule, being at the elite level you're at. We just got couple of questions. One was earlier. Maddie said, nutrition-wise, 2 days, 1 day and the day of the competition, do you reduce your intake, or do you make sure you have plenty of fuel? That's a very interesting question.
Yeah, that is an interesting question, because I think there's a lot of debate with that, and there's a lot of myths. There's a lot of wives' tales of what people do to get themselves amped nutritionally for an event. There are some sports that obviously require specific foods around their event, and that's why they come along very rarely. Say like your weight cutting events like boxing and stuff, where you have to be a specific weight and you're not eating. And I don't advocate for that. Or say it's a very, major long distance event like a marathon that requires carbo loading to get yourself through that strenuous activity for a long period of time. But when it comes down to a 90-minute exercise, like a football game, an 80-minute exercise like a rugby game, a couple of hours on the tennis court, or myself with 10 seconds of sprinting, I have in the past been like, okay, I need my big pasta night to carbo load and get myself energized, or this, that, and the other. But I've kind of come to the realization that I'm consistent in training. I work hard each week in training, and we stick to a very strict schedule, day in, day out with training. And I supplement that training and fuel that training through my diet. And I, have a very same diet pretty much each day to make sure that I maintain my energy levels to a certain point of view. And I've come to the conclusion that realistically, don't want to change anything come race day. I don't want to change anything come comp day, because that's a different stimulus, and my body might, either freak out or not know what's going on and why I'm changing something. And it might be an excuse for my body to kind of slacken off that day and not run fast. So I want to remind my body that this is the day, same day as every, that I'm going to perform at a high level athletically. And so I'll try and be consistent with my food. And that's not to say that it doesn't change. Obviously, with circumstances and stuff, it's not completely same, but I'm not going to go the night before and smack a massive pasta, or in that morning have 15 wheat bix, because I think that's going to get me over the line better. I'll try and just do what I want to do. And I think going back to that, I think that often gives you that extra bit of boost of confidence that, this is familiar to me. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm comfortable eating. And obviously it's good food, because I eat good food, but this is what I'm comfortable eating, and it's time to go. So the timings, depending on when I'm competing, might change. So I try not to eat very close to when I'm competing for obvious reasons. Don't want stitches, don't want weight. I do it for energy levels, but what I eat is pretty consistent. When I eat it, I pretty much eat lunch at 1 p.m. on the dot each day. And if I'm competing at 5 p.m. that day, then I'll probably eat lunch at 1 p.m. that day. And I may have a snack later just for a bit of boost of high GI energy. So yeah, I try not to change it too much. And that's my advice. And that's what I've kind of come to myself personally is I like to keep it consistent for my sport.
Oh, that's awesome, mate. There's another one here too from Alicia. Just the go-to products for injuries. So do you use any like the Ortho Sport or the Ortho Ease to sort of help support to your body when you do get injured?
Yeah, so I touched on before that I use products for recovery, and that's a preventative thing for injury. So there's lots of different. I'll use, say, your Cool Azul or oil cream to make sure that my body's not at risk of injury. There's a lot of different oils that you can apply to muscles to make sure they're not cramping. There's magnesium supplements you can take to make sure that things don't go wrong. In injury time, though, I've had my fair share of injuries and had some major injuries. I've had big muscle tears. I broke my back playing sport. And I've had nerve pain. I've had massive nerve injuries in my back just recently this year. So pretty much every kind of injury I've had, and each time I've had that different type of injury, there's been not just obviously my general protocol through sports med and food and what I'm doing to fix that injury. There's been a Young Living product that has been able to help that situation. So, and again, I was open to that. I was open to what the knowledge was behind what was going wrong and what could help me. And there's different oils that you can apply to really exacerbate that healing process, to catalyze that healing process and help your body. And that there's a lot of oils that help your body in a lot of different ways. There's carbide oil that helps efficiently catalyze that other oil that you're using to help your body. So, Glenn and Andrew know a whole host of different particular oils and products that, for that particular injury would help you out at the end of the day, because obviously a muscle tear is different to a bone break, which is different to a nerve injury. And all three of those things, while there might be some similarities across what you would use, there are different products that would help that process. And everyone's different. Whatever helps you. But there's reason to believe that some of these things would help across the board. And I'm not the knowledge expert in what I've used, but I've used products that I've been told to use by people that know a lot more than me. And I tend to keep saying that I heal very fast. And I've been very lucky to get out of some very sticky situations with massive injuries. I'm still competing now. And definitely part of those processes has been Young Living. So yeah, I can't encourage that enough. And if you have a particular injury, go seek out knowledge from one of the experts.
Oh, that's fantastic, mate. And it's good to see you getting great results for the gear. There is one last question. Do you still eat 3 times a day?
I love food, so you beauty. Of course I do. I probably eat.
Probably a quiet day, is it?
Yeah, quiet day. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of studies that have said that eating 3 times a day can be adverse to weight loss, and eating 6 times a day can increase your metabolism. So if you eat more often with less food, there's different reasons why you would eat different amounts each day. But yeah, for sure, I stick to because I either train morning and evening. Morning and afternoon. So I'll definitely either have, breakfast before or lunch before that training session. And in order for my body to recover and heal, it needs that nutrient from my food, my dinner. So definitely 3 times a day, but probably more often than not, I would classify 5 times a day, because I'd have, my brekkie, morning tea, lunch, afternoon tea, dinner or supper, or however you want to call it. And it depends what the calorie intake is for me, because obviously I'm burning a lot of calories training so often. So if weight factor is important, I wouldn't eat as often or as much, but definitely topping up that metabolism is important. But yeah, eating often. I like I said before, I'm not a fan of dieting personally. There's more to be said about being knowledgeable about your foods and your calorie intake versus your calorie deficit. More to be said about that than just cutting food altogether or cutting a meal out of your day. I think, you're shooting yourself in the foot by not educating yourself first. So yeah, personally, I eat definitely 3 or more times a day.
Oh, that's fantastic. And like you say, it'd be interesting. How many calories would you burn on a heavy training day?
I've been up. So I think the max I've been eating was probably about 14 months ago, when I had a big injury and I was trying to get big to build some muscle and help my body that way. I was on 4,500 to 5,000 calories a day. Was my probably daily intake for quite a while. I think I was on about that for 3 months, which is a lot of food. Currently, day in, day out, I'll probably be around 3,200 to 28 to 3,200 a day will be what I kind of sit at. Because at the end of the day, like food is nice, but if you're eating good food, it takes a lot to get your calorie intake up. So, yeah, I eat quite a bit, but not obviously not too much because weight is a factor for me.
Oh, definitely, yeah. No, that sounds great. Well, we haven't got any more questions. I'd just if we've got any more questions from the floor, you can either put your hand up quickly or you can type a message. But I'd like to say that was very informative. I got a lot out of that, Jake. So thank you very much for that. And like we say, we're going to try and do this next month. My real intention with this is to get everybody that's interested in this space, especially a lot of young athletes, or if you've got sons or daughters or friends who've got daughters that are actually in this space, that we'd like to create this energy around these athletes, because we can get the young people of today actually using a more natural product to help them out. I think their longevity in sport and longevity as they go on in life will actually have a lot more greater qualities. So we're trying to create this, and having Jake as our ambassador on our resource in the field that he's in and the competition that he's going is pretty exciting. So Jake is just about to start. You're about to compete soon, mate, on the 18th of December, I believe. Yeah,
so it all ramps up for me. It's about business time. I've been training for a good 6 months now, and it's hard to train for something with no outcome. It's a very tedious exercise running a straight line. So next week, I'm opening my season in Brisbane. We're looking at pretty much competing at least every fortnight from next week onwards to about June. So it's boom, 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 boom. I'm in Canberra, Sydney, Brisbane. I'm all over the place as much as I can be. And obviously everything's COVID pending. There's plans for myself to be over in Poland and Japan before the Olympics. So yeah, it's all upwards from here. Competitive wise, I'll be trying to run as fast as I can. And yeah, I'm pretty confident that we'll be qualifying for the Olympics. So it's going to be a big 6 months for me.
Oh, that sounds good, mate. Sounds very exciting time for you. And I think everybody here will be following your journey as you go. And I will be tuning in, mate, and posting a few results. So yeah, we have recorded this. So I will say thank you to everybody that's tuning in. And if you do have any questions, we will be doing one. I'm just going to get a date off Jake. As you heard, his schedule is pretty hectic. So hopefully you'll have a lot of good results by the time we come back next month. And if you've got any, we'll do the same sort of format, 3 to 5 tips and something. If you've got anything that your kids or anybody in that space is really looking to address, feel free to shoot it through to the Facebook pages. We'll pick up on it, and then we'll get it going. But thanks very much for that, Jake, Andrew, and the boys. Much appreciated, and hope to see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Cheers. Thank you. Cheers, bye. Thanks.